Saints and Bucs, late slot on Sunday afternoon in the Superdome. Really the story right now in the middle of the week is the injury report. The Bucs, let me count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 guys mentioned on the injury report, and the majority of those did not participate. Teddy Bridgewater's got something wrong with his teeth. Levante Davis got a knee and a rib. Emeka Egbuka got a hamstring. Greg Gaines toe. Chris Godwin fibula. I mean, there's significant names on this list. When I look at it, I think specifically the Buccaneers offense is infected the most. Mike Evans is not going to play in this game. He is out. Chris Godwin is not going to play in this game. He is out. That means your top two receivers out for Tampa in this game. And then Bucky Irving, who is a really talented back, also not going to play in this game. So, Baker is playing with a compromised skill group, and then he's got issues on the right side of his offensive line. Luke Haggard's got a shoulder injury. He didn't practice. It's not good for Tampa in terms of their personnel. Baker's been able to lean on Mike Evans for his entire time there in Tampa. Godwin's been an awesome resource as well. And without those guys on the outside, you kind of change the numbers. Ibuka is really good. He's been awesome as a rookie, but he's not those two guys in terms of skins on the wall as a pro. That's a big deal. You go to the Buck defense, and not having Hassan Reddick, who we don't believe is going to play in this game, would be a huge deal. And then you flip things over to the Saints side if we're talking about key injuries. And this is where I get to kind of a key to this game, because the Bucs will try to figure things out at receiver, and they've got Ibuka who's played pretty well, and Reddick they haven't had the last couple of weeks. And so you look at it, and they've got some more clarity in what they're trying to do. As far as Eric McKoy missing this game and missing the rest of the year, there was a question as who was going to be the center here. You're going to go with Cesar Ruiz and bump him down inside to center? You're going to put Torricelli Simpkins, an undrafted free agent rookie, in there? Or do you go to Luke Fortner, who you made a trade for earlier this season in training camp? And Fortner is the answer, and it's probably the obvious answer, but it is the answer they went with. Fortner played center in his first year there in Jacksonville. He's played guard the majority of the last 3 seasons. So he's not as experienced as used to playing the center spot as he once was. But he's going to play there, and he hadn't played there in 2 years. And all of a sudden, you get there to the Dome, you're playing a new position, and who's across the line of scrimmage from you? Vita Vea. Vita Vea is not a lot of fun for anybody, especially not someone who hasn't played center in 2 years. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's 350 pounds, and he is one of the best interior pass rushers in the National Football League still at the age of 30. And that's something that the Saints have to handle on the interior, because we know entering the season and week to week, you're looking out at your tackles and you're going, okay, we've got a rookie first-round pick at left tackle. We've got a second-year player first-round pick at right tackle. The edges might be a bit of an issue week to week because you're young there, but at least we've got the middle anchored because you've got veterans in there. You've got Eric McKoy at center. You've got Ruiz at right guard. You've got Penning in there at left guard. You've traded for Fortner. The interior is at least something you can count on while you're trying to help on the outside of the offensive line. And now the very middle of that offensive line is a soft spot. And if Vita Vea is able to win consistently on the interior and get Spencer Rattler off his spot, and then you've got these tackles out on an island with the quarterback who's trying to move around, that could just be a disaster for New Orleans. So what has to be paramount for this offense entering this game is handling your injury to Eric McKoy at center. I think the Saints defense is in a better spot than we thought because of all those injuries to the Bucs on the offensive side of the football. The Saints offense, that injury is a bigger deal, I think. So that is key number one for me in this game. Now we move back to the Bucs and their injuries and what that's going to mean for Baker Mayfield, who had a heck of a time trying to get things going against Detroit, and that's a better Detroit group defensively, personnel-wise, than the Saints by a pretty long shot. But if the Saints can get Chase Young back, and he was on the injury report on Wednesday, and we'll see how that moves forward Thursday, Friday. But if they can get Chase Young back, who's clearly their best pass rusher, and they can get Carl Granderson back in the backfield, and they can get some pressure on Mayfield with a lack of weapons on the outside, I like the Saints defensively in this game. It's a lot to ask, but it's not hard to map out. If you can make that happen, I think you're going to be okay. I looked at this game 3 weeks ago, and I said, Saints are cooked. And like, spoiler alert, on tomorrow's show, I'm going to pick the Bucs to win. Like, I'll be upfront about that. But this doesn't look like the mismatch it did 3 weeks ago. Saints got crushed in Seattle. Were 0-4, about to play the Giants. Like, the Bucs had played really well to start the season, had scored some really nice wins, gone on the road, and you felt like, well, Baker's playing at a top 5 or 6 level in the NFL right now. Like, that's a no-shot game. I don't feel that way anymore. And that I don't mean that as some sort of trying to soften things for the Saints late in the week, just a false sense of optimism. I mean, I think the Saints can play Tampa pretty close because this is not Tampa's full roster. They're missing lead back, top 2 wide receivers, best edge rusher, Reddick. They got crushed last week in Detroit. Like, it's just not the same team. And we've lived this story for 3 years with the Saints. The Saints, I think, had a functional, some might even say playoff roster 2 years ago, but they just got wiped out by injuries. And I don't think the Saints were necessarily a playoff team last year, but the first 2 weeks were really good, and then everybody got hurt. And right now, the Bucs are going to get some of these guys back, but they're really hurt. And the Saints need to make that hurt on Sunday. And I think that there are some matchups that probably would have tilted away from New Orleans that you might feel a little bit better about now, like the young pass defenders for the Saints against Godwin and Evans and Ibuka as a 3, as opposed to now Ibuka becoming the 1. That's just not the same. That matchup's just not the same. So to me, I hate when it falls this way, and it's not something we've talked about a lot this year in Saints games, but the injury report becomes massive in the NFL this time of year. It's massive every week. And the Bucs are as hurt a team as there is in the National Football League. So maybe the Saints can take a little bit of advantage of that in the game coming up on Sunday in the Dome. 3:05 kickoff from New Orleans. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.